Hi everyone, this is Spring, the fiber enthusiast. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another motif knit pattern, and the pattern is this rosette. And as you can see, it's rather small, and that's because of the size needle that I'm using. So for this project, you can use whatever needle and whatever yarn size you want to. What I'm using is, I love this cotton, and it's supposed to be a 4-weight, but honestly, it's more like a DK 3-weight. It's just the color red, and I'm using my sock 2 at a time knitting needles, so they're very small. This is a US 3. And the very first thing you're going to want to do is cast on 80 stitches. Now, how you cast on those 80 stitches is entirely up to you. I will be doing a long tail cast on. Once I have cast on my 80 stitches, I will return. Okay, I now have my 80 stitches on my cable and needles. The next step is to knit 1 row completely, every stitch. Knit every single stitch across, and once you have done that, we will meet back up and go for our next row. So you're just going to work across and knit every single stitch. This is a very, very, very fun, simple pattern. The longest part is casting on, because everything after this is a very decreasing row. So you will knit all 80 stitches and meet back up with me once you have completed that, and we will do our next row. Okay, now that you have completed row 1, we are going to begin our repeat rows. We have 80 stitches now. We are going to knit 2 together all the way across, and that will bring us down to 40 stitches. You will repeat that 1 more time on the next row, and it'll bring you down to 20 stitches. And then you'll repeat it 1 last and final time, and it'll bring you down to 10 stitches. So now we're going to begin row 2. And we just simply knit 2 together all the way across. That's all there is to row 2. Knit 2 together all the way across. Go ahead and work row 2 by yourself, and I will meet back up with you when I have reached the end of row 2. Okay, so now that you have completed row 2 of knitting 2 together all the way across, you should have left 40 stitches now. Now you're going to turn your work over for row 3 and do the exact same thing. You're going to knit 2 together all the way across, and that will be your row 3. At the end of row 3, you should be left with 20 stitches. And I'm going to continue on until I have reached the end, and we will meet back up for row 4 and how to finish this rosette off. Okay, so at the end of row 3, you should be down to 20 stitches across. We're going to do this 1 more time. For row 4, you're going to repeat knitting 2 together all the way across. At the end of row 4, you should have 10 stitches left. That is our last and final row. And then we will turn this into a little rosette. So go ahead and stitch 2 together all the way across until you have reached the end. And I will meet back up with you at that time to finish this rosette off. Just like such. Okay, so now that you have finished all 4 rows, you should have 10 stitches left on your needle. Now becomes the finish. Leave yourself a 6 to 12 inch tail, cutting it loose from your working ball of yarn. And place it onto a needle. You can use a darning needle, one of the plastic ones. It really doesn't matter, because all we're going to do is scoot these down on the needle, is slip them off one by one onto the needle. So just like that. Just inserting the needle through and transferring those loops off of our needle off of our knitting needle onto our threaded needle. Two left. Okay, now we are off our knitted needles, and we're going to slide this down on to our tail here and pull that tail all the way through. Okay, so now that you have completed the last row, which was row 4, you should have 10 stitches left on your needle. And what you need to do now is cut a tail about 6 to 12 inches long, because we're going to use the tail to sew in all of these stitches together, and also sew it to whatever object you're going to be sewing it to. And then just lace your darning needle or plastic needle, whichever you have. And now all we're going to do is slip all 10 of these stitches onto our needle and our tail. So this part's like the easiest and most fun of the whole entire project, because now we get to shape our little rows. So I'm just slipping them over onto this needle here. Last one, and now we are completely off of our knitting needles. Now you're just going to pull that tail thread through all 10 stitches. There. Okay, once you have all 10 pulled up, the first thing you're going to want to do is take your beginning tail, and we're going to go around it. So I bring it down between a couple of fingers just to hold it in place. And now you just take the end that is attached to your needle and your tail thread, and you start going around the beginning tail thread. Just like this, just going around in a circle. Okay, so now you have your beginning tail thread out the bottom, and your ending tail thread out the bottom. Now you want to drawstring it together so that way it cinches down around your beginning tail thread. Cinch it nice and tight. And now I'm going to do what is called a surgeon's knot. And what it does is it locks in your stitch. So I've crossed over my fingers my two tails. And I'm going to take the one that's on my needle is on top. I'm going to take my needle from the back side of that ring that I made and bring that tail thread through once and one more time. Now when I cinch this down, that double loop will lock things in place. Now I'll just turn my work and I'm going to wrap my beginning tail from the top side of the loop down and pull it tight. Now your knot is secure. And now you can remove it from this needle until you're ready to sew it to whatever project you would like to attach it to. So here you are. Here is your final little rosette motif knitted. And you have your tails to sew it in with. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial on the rose motif knitted. If you have, please let me know down in the description box. Have you ever made this? Do you think you would use this on something? If you have, also let me know down in the comment section. So that is it for now. If you have liked and enjoyed this video, please let me know by giving me a thumbs up and letting me know down in the comments. All right, everybody, until next time, be blessed and be a blessing. Bye for now.